My name is Jill Hoff and I work at Monogram Coffee. I've been there for almost 12 years and I am the director of coffee there. So I have a lot of different responsibilities from like purchasing green, being responsible for like QC in the roasteries, and I have a team that works with me that does all of our like wholesale training, staff training. The coffee curriculum as a whole is kind of under my purview. So that's what I do at Monogram. And I am the current Canadian Barista Champion as of last week. So that's really exciting. My favorite roasters. That's a good question, actually. Oh, this is a hard one. I feel like I've been so fortunate to travel many places and be able to taste like coffee from all over the world, and obviously like roster of roasters from all over the world. I would say one of my favorite roasters would definitely be Coffee Collective. I feel like they're iconic and I would love to go there sometime and see their cafes. I really like the way that they approach like who they buy from. They always have like the same people that they have really good relationships with. Obviously they do a very good job roasting coffee. Like Canadian roasters, I really like Hatch. They're doing a very, very good job. Oh, I don't know, it's such a hard question. There's so many good ones. Let's stick with those two. One that is local and then one from far away. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good question. So obviously this is just a recent win. So I have had the opportunity to speak with most of my judges so far to see like how the routine hit, what types of things I should be changing. Next week, I'll be finished all of my feedback with all of the judges. And so from there, I can kind of adapt and adjust for that. I think with nationals, you do want to think about like, can this set or this concept be executed at Worlds? Is this a Worlds level routine? So while building that set, just thinking about like, could this easily be taken to Worlds? And I do think that about my set. I will be taking the same theme and the likely similar coffees to Worlds as well. But obviously you need to like level it up for Worlds. So just thinking about like how I can redesign maybe some of the courses or improve like my language or more visuals or certain things like that that can make it like more easy to understand for the judges and just kind of like take it to the next level from there. I have said this a few times already, but I did take 5 years off from competing. So in that time, I spent time like judging and coaching and volunteering and doing a lot of that type of thing. I feel like the biggest difference for myself as a competitor from 5 years ago was I feel like I put less pressure on me to perform well, and I just wanted to not worry about what anybody else is doing. I don't care what coffees people are using. I don't care what other people's themes are. I don't care about like what gadgets or anything that people are using. This time I really just focused on myself and what I could do and what I could bring, because I would say that for any competition, like you yourself are your biggest competition. So for me, that was like probably the biggest thing that I focused on this time, was just like being me, knowing that I have something good to say, knowing that I have good coffees that I'm proud to serve, and just focusing on like letting the outside pressures of like where I work or what I've done before kind of go away, and just really focus on bringing myself and coffees that I'm proud to serve. I don't know. I've never tried that before. That is such a funny question. I will say in general, latte art is not my strength. Okay. So I probably could. I'm going to try that afterwards, but I'm going to say that I probably could. At least like a very bad heart with my left hand. I'm going to bet on myself that I can at least pour some kind of heart. I haven't had much prior to competition. I haven't had much experience with Liberica. I had tasted it before. And so I kind of knew-ish what the flavor profile of Liberica could be. I chose Liberica because the set was about DNA. So I was talking about different things about DNA of our industry, my own DNA. And so we thought that using coffees that had very unique DNAs would link very well into the set, instead of choosing any old coffee and trying to make it work within my theme. So Liberica was one of the coffees that I chose because it has a completely different DNA than Arabica. And The coffee that I used had an amazing profile that was super fruity. It's very unique, very different. I was really excited to bring it to the stage because I think not a lot of people have had the chance to taste Liberica. And I used it as a blend in my espresso course, so it did add like a little bit of like funkiness and like fruit to my espresso. But I used it for my milk course, and it was very, very good in milk, and it created a very like fruity and like rich milk drink. And yeah, it was probably my favorite course that I served because it was very unique and it had like a very special like aftertaste. Hopefully we have some in the future that we can serve. Yeah, it's definitely not very common. Ben sourced this coffee for me. He had met somebody in Dubai when he was there for the World of Coffee this year and sourced 2 different lots from them. And yeah, I'm very thankful that he had the opportunity to meet this person so we can have access to this coffee because it's very remarkable. So I started in coffee almost 12 years ago. And at that time, I had small kids at home and I had been working from home teaching voice lessons actually. I mean, I think most people kind of get into coffee because they love coffee for whatever reason, but I did love coffee. I loved going to cafes, being like in the environment of a cafe. I felt like it would be a fun place to like start a very like low-key job where I just go to work, interact with customers, make some cute latte art, and then just like go home. But I slowly learned that there is so much more to coffee from what I knew as a customer. And I don't know if I chose coffee for any like big reason other than I just like loved the environment and the community that I felt while I was a customer. And once I started working in coffee, it was just so fascinating to find out like just how complex the industry is and how complex coffee itself is. And so that's why I stayed. Why I started was just kind of, I wanted something fun to do. And yeah, here I am 12 years later, still here. So I was at the world competition last year when the Philippines competitor, Michael Harris, introduced it in his set. I did not have the opportunity to taste any coffees using the Better Vessel at the competition, but I knew of it because I knew him and watched his routine. And then this year he came to Calgary to visit. He stopped by the roastery, tasted it for the first time. Then it was probably, I don't know, several months ago already, and it is very cool. It has different effects on different espressos, and maybe you don't prefer how it tastes after the Better Vessel on certain espressos, but on a lot of the testing that we did, it was so cool to A/B them side by side, and it was cool to see the reaction from like different staff in the roastery. And 2, you have an espresso that's really tasty and a very good espresso, and then you try it with the Better Vessel. And I would say it changes the espresso in different ways. So sometimes the espresso will have like a different body or mouthfeel that is like elevating that espresso. Some of the espressos, it maybe brings out some clarity, reducing bitterness in some of them because it takes away the crema. But I would say it isn't like from what I have tasted, it's not a tool that I think instantly makes every espresso better per se, but it definitely changes the espresso and changes it differently depending on what the coffee is too. Better Vessel is interesting because it's the tool to remove the crema from the espresso. So the crema is like, as we know, has most of the bitterness in it because of the CO2 and carbonic acid. And I fortunately have also tasted a lot of experiments that Ben has done in the past with carbonic acid and removing that from espresso in the past using like vacuum sealers or syringes or different experiments that he has done to do like a similar effect on espresso. So I did kind of have it in my mind of like what to expect when using the Better Vessel. And so I think it did meet my expectations of what I thought it would taste like. But what I didn't expect maybe is like how it transforms different espressos differently depending on like what qualities that espresso had to begin with. I think that one potential trade-off could be the expectation of like somebody who is a traditional espresso drinker being able to then try it using the Better Vessel. It does alter like the mouthfeel in the body, and then removing that crema, it does change the drink from what you expect as like a traditional espresso. I don't know if it's necessarily a trade-off per se, but I think from like a consumer point of view or customer point of view, I would be curious to hear like what customers would experience from that, especially people who are like very used to ordering like traditional espressos, because it definitely does change it from like what you're used to, what the norm is with like a nice crema on top, and then you take that away. It almost makes it more of like a silkier and light beverage. So that could be a trade-off for some people. Just depends on, I guess, what your expectations are. But like average consumers would think of like using the better vessel. Using like a heavier body, kind of a traditional, like more chocolatey flavored espresso, maybe using the better vessel doesn't match the flavor profile or expectations of that type of coffee, where if you're using like a very like floral or delicate like geisha or something like that, using the better vessel might like match the flavor profile and texture that you would expect from something like that. Oh no, did I answer this question inadvertently?
Again, we can skip the slide.
We can skip it.
2 in 1, nice. I think so. I feel, and also part of my routine, I talked about like, so each course, DNA was an acronym. So D was discovery for espresso, N was narrative, and I did that for milk, and A was adventure. So I talked about the signature drink. And something that I talked about in my routine, which I really feel is true, is that this generation is kind of like driving us towards like experiencing coffee in a different way. So people are looking for like new ways to try coffee and more adventurous ways, whether it's like seasonal drinks or signature drinks or coffee cocktails, or people are kind of looking for something that's like new and unique in cafes. So I do think that it could be a good way to like add to your menu if you have a menu that is like more exploratory or adventurous or that sort of thing. And I think that people who are looking for that type of thing would be interested in trying something like that. Yeah. I'd be curious to see if it would be something that would make our way onto the menu, because we do some things in service that people might not know about. Like we use the Paragon for all of our espressos already. We do like to always like change our menu to suit like improvements, like trying to make our coffee taste better or do little things that people might not know about. So people might not know that we use Paragons for all of our espressos, but we find that that elevates the espresso experience. So it could be something that could make our way to the menu eventually. In terms of like myself, I think because it is just something that's so new, just trying like how it reacts with different coffees and seeing like what types of coffees maybe it's like suited best for, if it is all coffees or if it's just like a certain type of coffee. But yeah. So we actually do use pre-batch espresso in our cafes. We started doing this last year specifically for like summer seasonals with like iced lattes and like that type of thing. When you pre-batch espresso, the crema already naturally kind of leaves. So I'm not sure if it would be as beneficial on like a pre-batched espresso. Maybe. I feel like it would take a long time to run every single shot through the better vessel, but at least like skimming, you could also like skim the crema off, kind of would give the same effect, I guess, as a better vessel. But yeah, we have been doing pre-batched espresso. We haven't tried anything like that with using the better vessel, but I mean, yeah, try skimming off the espresso would probably be a more efficient way to do a pre-batch. Yeah, I'm excited to experiment with many things over the next, I guess, 4 months, not that long before Worlds, and experimenting with different like blends of the coffees that I'm using. I would like to use, obviously, like keeping within my theme, coffees that have unique DNA. I am pretty confident that I'll use Liberica as well, but I'm not sure if I'll use the same coffee. I would like to use Chikura, but maybe there's a different coffee that they have that I haven't tasted yet. So just experimenting with coffees and blends and ways to make the signature drink like a very delicious and like great course that matches my theme.
We finally reached the end of our questions.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Those were
no
beautiful
problem.
answers. Really well. You interviewed really well.
Oh, thank you.